social media platform. Again, having the time and intention and a plan behind what you're doing is going to actually benefit you better in the long run. I say this all the time to my team, but slow is fast, meaning if we have a plan out of the gate the first time and we're working slow through that and we just continue to implement and do that, typically that's going to give us more success down the road than just gung-hoing it and then trying to figure out what happened after the fact. It's wasting all of our time on multiple platforms, whereas we could have spent double on, selected ones. Something else is the outbound marketing and old methods with radio, TV, magazines, all these things. I have friends and family in these exact categories, so I'm definitely not knocking them by any means. They're still there. They're still a real thing. Radio ads and TV ads, you'll see them all day long if you go and listen to the radio or watch TV. But I would say they are in hard and trying times. Everyone knows that. It's the age of the internet right now. COVID didn't help out at all with that. But I would advocate, if you are someone who's been spending tens of thousands of dollars a year on radio and TV and all that stuff, to just give it a try through Facebook and Instagram marketing. Even if the money spent is with your own internal team, maybe you have an employee who displays some sort of desire to be in charge of the social media and all those things, this would be an awesome time to offer them extra hours or overtime just to see if you can get some traction running here. So give it a shot. Get out of the old outbound marketing methods. A yearly cost for the setup for all this stuff, like I kind of said, tens of thousands on radio, doesn't have to be crazy expensive. And a better question I would just ask is, do you actually have a plan set up for your spending on marketing for this year or for next year, for each quarter? Do you have a budget that's allowed for this kind of stuff? And if not, why, right? I was trying to even, ask myself that. Why don't we have a marketing plan? Or a budget, better yet. Why don't we have that set up together? We have some clients that get away with less than 3% of their sales goes into all marketing efforts, and it's still effective. So you do, let's say, $1 million in sales, 30,000 for the year in ad spend, just in this hypothetical, to pull in $1 million in sales really doesn't seem that bad. So you kind of have to frame it that way. If you're a manager or someone going to like your boss and you're really trying to talk about Facebook ads, social media ads, or maybe you're just an owner trying to convince yourself, another easy way to do it is to break it down by each day. So it's like, hey, this is going to be 30,000 for the year, or you could say, hey, it's going to be $100 a day, right? So kind of think about it that way, and then think about how many people this might pull into our storefront, or how many sales this could generate on our website. You got to really break it down and try to hash it out on a day-by-day basis sometimes, to really make sense of what you're looking at and to make it seem a little bit more feasible when you're trying to move forward with all this stuff. And here's another question I would ask for you guys, which is for planning and organizing. Have you actually ever developed a plan for your posting on social media throughout the year? This is something we do for our clients. We need to make sure that we actually have a method to the madness for the posting times. So we're not only choosing the days that we're going to be posting, promotions, when they end, and how long they last, the stipulations behind them. Have you done that for your business? I would want to ask again, if you have not, why not? Having a plan, or even better, like a checklist, is something that's super useful, particularly for people implementing new things like this, social media, trying to keep track of all this stuff. I know it can be extremely overwhelming, especially if you didn't grow up in the internet age. I have tons of clients that are, let's be gentle here, if you will, over the age of 35 even, and they still don't really know a lot of the things that I'm enlisting today. They just signed up for it a few years ago. I have no idea. Well, it's actually really, really important, especially if you're going to start working with any sort of ad agency. And that's kind of where this whole thing was inspired from, is me constantly seeing people under-equipped and under-educated about their own digital assets for their own business. So getting a checklist put in play, super useful, and it's going to help you follow through with higher intention. And I think that's something huge that any business could use, from its owner, management, staff, any of that kind of stuff. And then lastly, very last thing is going to be your actual measurement. So how are you going to be able to measure the data that you're going to be pushing toward, right? If you're going to be spending money on this stuff, you're going to want to know where the money's going, if it's working or not, how to measure if it is working or if it's not, and to be able to identify what success looks like to your team. Or maybe it's your ad team, right? So say you hired us to come do stuff. Well, I want to know what feels like success to you. So if it's more sales, then that's it. If it's more people coming into the door every day, then that's it. So trying to work toward that using analytical data is really cool. We have a dashboard that we've built for our clients which is not something that you can just get anywhere, but there's also built-in analytical tools to most of these, probably all of them now, I would have to say, platform-wise. So if you did make a post, you can see how many people it reached, how many people it impressed on, how many people clicked on the links on it, and then you can try to do the things that work a little bit better and more often, and then continue to refine that process. And so the reason that that is important is because there's no point in doing any of this if you're not going to be making progressive progress on it. Progress, right? Progressive end goal meeting is really what I think would be a better thing, is not just making general progress, but achieving goals, resetting, and continuing that process. Another thing that has to do with this, and this will be the last kind of thing I want to go over, is what ROAS is and what success with ROAS is, and how you're going to be able to measure this. So ROAS is a acronym, ROAS, that stands for return on ad spend. This is going to mean for every dollar that is spent, how many are being returned to your business. So that is the return on the ad spend itself. Now, obviously that's what it is. Why does that matter? Well, your goal, one of the goals, apart from just, elevating the organic side of things, half of social media, is if you do get into the paid, being able to increase your ROAS, and that's all. It's always normally listed as a exponential rate, or a multiplication rate. So 4x, 10x, 20x, whatever it is. That's typically how we will denote what the ROAS is. So you'd be looking at, say, a 3 ROAS is kind of like average. 3 to 5 ROAS would be average for just like a decent success on a campaign. The goal would obviously be to get that very high. We have some clients that will get up to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 on certain campaigns and certain things that they're doing. It's going to be different based on the thing you're pushing, the price of the product, the brand, the market and industry that you're in, the location that you're physically in. Tons of variables go into this, but ultimately, like I said, comparing yourself to either a very similar business or to your past self, and then trying to track what progress is and what it looks like, is going to be very helpful for you. So to recap on everything, we went over what a domain is, how to figure out where it's hosted, how it links to your website, how websites are hosted, and what you need to do in order to figure out how to take control of both of those assets. We talked about training yourself on thinking about the importance of the website and social media being another front door to your business, another place where people are impressed on. We talked about the two halves of social media, the paid side and the organic side. They're both equally weighted and important. If you're attacking one front, then you need to start attacking the other, and vice versa. We also talked about how it takes a plan, team, and time. Big things there. So managing your expectations for growth, and hopefully you won't get burnt out too quickly, because this should give you that dexterity that you'll need to make it through the first 3 to 6 months while starting. We talked about how platforms are different, so that doesn't mean you need to be on all 26 social media platforms, but maybe choosing the top 3 to 5 for your business, whatever's swallowable in terms of the amount of stuff that you'll need to do for it. We talked about outbound and old outbound marketing methods, and why trying something new could be something cool for your business. And then we talked about kind of having a plan for the actual setup, cost, and how to measure everything after it's all implemented. So this was a very just quick gung-ho episode. I say quick, it's actually the longest one of the season so far, but I wanted to address this no matter how long it took, because this is a very important thing. And like I said, it was inspired because I've noticed a lot of our clients are not doing very well on this front. They're not super tied into the information that I believe that they should be tied into, which again is your website, domain, the importance of social media, having a plan behind it all, and then being able to measure and then change and adapt and react to what's going on with the market and everything. Even in times right now when the market's kind of like crashing in a sense, you want to be able to optimize and move forward during these times. So I hope this helped everyone out. If it did, leave me comments down in the comment section below wherever you're watching or listening to this. I'd love to hear questions, comments, and maybe just any takeaways that you had from this episode of things that you didn't know or things you're going to be implementing into your business. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. We'll see you in the next one. Roll the outro.